let's just talk about, if at all this third wave strikes us, then how do we prevent our children from getting the illness? Number one. Number two, if at all a child actually contracts the COVID virus, in that case, how do we identify that this child actually requires hospitalization or not? And finally, about the post-COVID complications that we're noticing in children, and of course, the vaccines in children for COVID. So to begin with, I'll say, as we all know how to prevent, I'd say that, the first thing is to get yourselves vaccinated as parents, both of you. And secondly, I'll say, for children as well, get the age-appropriate vaccines for them, like, the MMR, the chicken pox, etc., whatever they are due for, and especially the flu shots. So, monsoon's approaching, the flu season is around the corner, and the symptoms of COVID and the flu is pretty much similar. So, it might just create a huge panic amongst parents. And also, the flu vaccines definitely confer protection of about 40 to 60% to the influenza strain. So at least that is taken care of. Of course, there is no cross protection between the flu vaccine and the COVID. There is no cross protection at all. But yes, at least take the vaccines that are available for us and that have similar symptomatology to COVID. So I would say, please take the flu shots, especially for children between 6 months to 5 years of age. Now, the most important thing is, as we step out, it's important that we still follow the COVID appropriate behaviors. So, please double mask yourself with a surgical mask and a cotton mask on top, as in when you step out. Maintain that social distancing, maintain that hand hygiene, because children are watching over us. And what we do is what they follow. So when you take the children out as well, have them in the masks, encourage them, although the recent guidelines that have come from the government of India say that, children above 5 years of age should be masked. Because, children between 2 to 5, when they put on the mask, they keep fidgeting with the mask. So, that outer surface is very infectious. And since that comes onto their fingers and they rub their noses and eat with them, so that can actually predispose them to have infections. So that's the reason they're saying that between 2 and 5, maybe without the mask is fine. But, if you are vigilant and if you can monitor and supervise them, I'd say please mask them up, especially when you're going to a pediatrician's clinic or to crowded places. Now, talking about if at all the child contracts an infection in the third wave. So we usually categorize a child getting this infection into a milder category, moderate, and a severe category of symptoms. As I said, 90 to 95% children fall into the milder category. 2 to 3% fall into the moderate category, and 1 to 2% fall into the severe category. So the milder symptoms are usually the fever, cough, cold, sore throat, body ache, fatigue, loose motions, vomiting, tummy pain, and even loss of smell and loss of taste in adolescent age groups. Now, but these children would usually be very active in between the fever episodes. They would be taking in orally very well. They would be passing urine enough. So, we know that these kind of children usually get better on their own within the next 2 to 3 days with just symptomatic treatment in terms of paracetamol, nasal sprays, the saline spray for the nasal blockade, or maybe steam or ORS, etc. So for such children, I'd say that, you can do a teleconsult with your pediatrician, and of course, maintain a temperature chart and a saturation monitoring of at least 12 hours in the morning and bedtime, especially when they're sleeping, to have that in place, because the saturation should definitely be above 95% in these children. So if we have all of this in place, in that case, it's a very good prognosis. And only thing that we need to take care of is the red flag signs. To understand if the child is not going towards a moderate or the severe category. So what are the red flag signs? They are basically if the child refuses to eat, if the child is very lethargic or extremely irritable, if he's having intractable vomiting or loose motions, causing him dehydration and reduced urine output. The urine should ideally be passed once in 6 hours at least. So, at least 4 times in 24 hours. So if the urine output is anywhere lesser than this, definitely consult your pediatrician. And of course, symptoms like, fast breathing, difficulty in breathing, the saturation is going below 95%. In that case, please definitely consult and understand if your child requires hospitalization in that case or not. Because, early intervention is surely showing a very, very good recovery in these children.